We acknowledge the original owners of the land on which we podcast, whose stories were told for thousands of years. Today, we are recording in Meanjin. We pay our respects to elders past and present who may be listening. Sovereignty was never ceded. A quick note before we get started that there may be some swearing in today's podcast. If you don't like swearing or usually listen with children in the car, you have been warned. We're proud to be sponsored by Tyre Nuts, Brisbane's tyre fitting shop with a powerful purpose. Tyre Nuts is a leading social enterprise that creates real, full, award-wage jobs for people with disabilities without touching their NDIS funding. They make buying new tyres simple with an all-inclusive low price that covers the tyre, wheel balancing and wheel alignment. Get a great deal on your next set of tyres at Tyre Nuts. Book now at tyrenuts.com.au and follow their journey on Facebook and Instagram. This episode of What in the NDIS Now is brought to you by Astolti. Astolti is the software solution for NDIS professionals, built by NDIS professionals. It's my go-to software, and it's trusted and loved by hundreds of other NDIS providers. I love how easy it is to use, keeping all my participant information, notes, and invoicing in one place, available anytime from any device. Astolti are currently building out their scheduling platform after 4 years in the making. If you provide core supports and are looking for a scheduling platform to meet your needs, head to astolti.com.au/rostering waitlist. You're listening to What in the NDIS The News, a podcast where I, Hannah Redford, and my friend Sam Rosenbaum discuss all the hot topics out of the NDIS. Welcome everyone to this news episode of the podcast. If you are new here, welcome. We are so excited to have you. Something a little different on the podcast today. Ellie is on a mic. Hi, Ellie.
Yeah, hi. Not super keen to be behind the mic. I much prefer the other side, but we'll see how we go.
The last fortnight has been really busy with lots and lots of news coming out in NDIS land, and we just couldn't quite organise it with Sam.
And it's Sam's birthday this week, so happy birthday, Sam.
It was also your birthday this week.
Yeah.
So happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
We had such a lovely day for your birthday. We got to go and have a lovely coffee. We had some lovely Thai for dinner. It was great.
Yeah, lovely.
And a big variety of cake.
Yeah, well, we've got 3 kids that won't eat the same thing, so...
It was such a good idea. So I'm going to start off with a joke because I try to start off with a fun joke. So what does a storm cloud wear under its raincoat?
No, what does a storm cloud wear under its raincoat, Hannah?
Thunderwear.
Oh, very good.
So to start off, we're starting off this episode also a little different to a normal news episode because we're celebrating reaching 20,000 listeners. So we wanted to pull back the curtain a little bit and let all of our listeners know a little bit about what happens behind the scenes of the podcast. So first up, I've got the list of where you're all listening from, and this is in order of most listens. Okay. So are you ready, Ellie?
Yeah, let's go.
It is Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, Adelaide, Canberra, Gold Coast, Newcastle, Hobart, Launceston, Darwin, and many other places in between.
Come on, Tassie. I think at one point Reykjavik had more listens than Tassie.
Yeah. It is funny how we do get international listeners as well.
Which, yeah, we're sure is a VPN. But who's running their VPN through Iceland? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. There has been a lot of rivalry between Melbourne and Sydney, often switching places.
Yeah, Sydney had Brisbane beat for a while.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, for a really long time, actually. Then what apps are you all using to listen to us?
Well, that's the question that we get asked the most is where can you listen?
Where can you listen? So the one that you'll use the most is Spotify. Then Apple Podcasts, Audible, Opera, Pocket Casts, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, and lots of other apps, little apps in between. What are people's favourite episodes? Your favourite episode to listen to are our news episodes, which we're so grateful for. They always have the most listeners, definitely. The episode with a guest that has the most listeners is Esther Syred.
Yay.
We
love Esther.
We do love Esther. All about behaviour support. The next thing we wanted to explain is it takes Ellie approximately 4 hours to edit a 40-minute episode. She is a little bit pedantic, and also Sam and I often can't talk properly.
I mean, yeah, I want to get it sounding good. Pedantic might be a bit rough, but...
We want to tell you a little bit about our sponsorship packages. You've heard our amazing ads, and Ellie is now starting to put music behind them. So we have 3 packages depending on your budget. So we've got the basic package, and that is $100 for a 30-second ad. The plus package is $150, and that is a 30-second ad and your logo on our website. The gold package is $850, and that's where you get to be a guest on the podcast. For more information about our sponsorship packages, make sure you check out our website. And we're really grateful for all sponsorship because it does cost money to run the podcast, and we love doing it. So we want to do it for as long as possible. Into the news. Time for the news. Breaking news, hot off the press. We have a new CEO. Graham Head has been appointed CEO of the NDIA for a 3-year term. He was previously the first NDIS Quality and Safeguard Commission between 2018 and 2021. Between 2021 and now, Mr. Head has been the Secretary of New South Wales Department of Customer Service. Mr. Head will officially start his new role on the 24th of November. Mr. Head is known for his improving of systems so they work better for the consumers. So hopefully he knows what he's signed up to and knows what he's in for. JPS has been suspended. So Ellie, what you and others might not know about the process of becoming a registered provider is that in order to do that, you need to be audited. And there's only a short list of companies that are officially accredited to do these audits. One of these companies, called JPS Audit Specialists, was found by the Quality and Safeguard Commission to be doing the wrong thing. The Commission has suspended them from being able to conduct audits from the 17th of October. JPS was found to be promoting an NDIS consultancy business to providers it was auditing. In doing that, they breached impartiality standards expected of them. If you have been impacted by the suspension of JPS from the audit of your company, you are encouraged to contact the Commission via registration at ndiscommission.gov.au. So, Ellie, this has impacted a lot of businesses and has upset a lot of people's faith in how do you pick from this short list of companies who are allowed to audit you when all the information you have about them is basically their name.
Yeah. Is this a conflict of interest thing? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Yeah. So you guys talk about it very often. Just avoid conflict of interest. If you're running a consultancy company, if you're running an auditing company, if you're looking for a provider or an auditor or a consultant, look out for conflict of interest. Avoid companies that have a clear conflict of interest would be the start.
Yeah, exactly. And we do talk about it all the time, but it is very scary when, to do an audit, it costs something like $10,000. And now some people have just lost all of that money. And I can't imagine how mind-bogglingly scary that would be.
Oh, it'd be terrifying. And we're all hanging on the line for changes to that whole system as well.
Yeah, which is a whole other bit of mind-boggling.
Which isn't unrelated. Like, what if you go and pay your $10,000 now and they change it?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Get on with it.
Yeah, exactly. The next item is about the new pricing arrangements and price limits document.
We love the papal.
And it is hot, but not in a good way. The new papal was released on the 14th of October and takes effect from the 24th of November, which, for once they gave us a little bit of lead time.
Yeah, I mean, it's next week if we're listening to it.
Right, but hopefully everyone's on top of this. But if you're not, they did originally give us some lead time. It's also kind of funny to me that starts as the new CEO, the day the new CEO starts as well. So that's interesting. Anywho, let me tell you a little bit about what changed. So first up, the price limit reduction for art and music therapies is now down to $156.16 per hour. There was the removal of low-cost AT from capacity building. This was first brought in so that during COVID, participants could continue to access telehealth. Low-cost AT is still available from core. So it's not too much of a change, and most people had stopped getting their low-cost AT from capacity building anyway, but this is just officially telling you you can't do it anymore. Okay, next was the removal of COVID-19 addenda and COVID response stuff. There are changes to the wording to align with the NDIS support list exclusions, which are always fun when they change words of things. So let's keep going. There is a whole new section at the top to explain supports that are NDIS supports.
The yes and no list.
The yes and no list, exactly. There is all new guidance on how to charge travel because of the changes to how therapists are allowed to charge travel. This bit is annoying. So what it is essentially is that therapists can now only charge half their $193 or $180 or $156 for their travel, which is a pain in the bum because it's still their time. But anyway, I digress. The next one is similar, which is why I put the next one kind of together with the one above it, is changes to the modified Monash model, which is the MMM or the Triple M or the 3Ms, whatever you like to call it, has been updated to the 2023 model from the 2019 model, which I guess is better late than never. So what this means is in Queensland, Blythedale, Euthila, Orange Hill, Horrocks are no longer classified as remote. In WA, Greenhead and Lehman are no longer classified as remote, which I'm sure those towns are really excited about. This is a problem because it is really hard to attract support workers out to rural and remote places in Australia, and now they can't charge the higher price for going out rural and remote if they change the definition of rural and remote. Those towns have not changed where they are. They are still in the same spot. They didn't get up and move the town 100 kilometres closer to the nearest big city. So this, to me, is really, really frustrating. And the last thing they changed in this PAPL change is there has been a significant change to the wording of when support is intensive or there are complex behaviour supports in place. The last line of this section explains that even if the participant's funding category of core is plan managed, they can only use providers who are NDIS registered and registered with Model 2A, which is a higher registration than just plain NDIS registration, to be able to charge the higher rate. So no independents who are not registered or providers who are not registered should never be charging that high intensity rate, is what this change means. Okay, Ellie, you would have heard me talk a lot about the change to short-term accommodation. This was huge. This is huge. And I wrote a post about it that I put on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram in case you want to go back and have a quick look at it. But let me tell you all about it. So short-term accommodation, STA, will now be known as short-term respite, STR. There are new rules that accompany the name change. I read all the new STR operational guidelines, so you don't have to. Trust me, it's a bizarre read. So let's start with accommodation. So there are a lot of all new rules to do with the new STR. So I'm going to break it up into little bite-sized bits of rules so that it helps people follow along a little bit. So first up is the type of accommodation you're allowed to be in. So it could be centre or group-based residence, which is the powers that be's preference. It could be a hotel, motel, short stay rental, cabin, cottage or hostel. The operational guidelines specifically states that the accommodation must be stationary. So no boats, trains, caravans, buses, RVs or a tour. Basically, if you go to sleep somewhere, you must wake up in the same spot. You can't have moved. It needs to be in your home state or territory, which sucks if you live in the ACT because there's not much more of that territory other than Canberra. If you choose a hotel type accommodation, they will only pay for basic room rate with no extra inclusions. STR is specifically for the accommodation itself and for the support worker to provide supports. Okay, the next chunk is the support itself. So there's no more automatic 24-hour care. So Ellie, under STA, it was always assumed it was 24-hour care, which is often different to what you might have in your day-to-day care needs. So STR will only pay for the number of hours you usually get support for. This could be formal support for 3 hours in the day with your support worker, but then your informal support does 10 hours a day. So you then can only get support for 13 hours of the day in STR. And fuck you if you need more than that when you're away from home.
I mean, nobody was ever funded properly to actually achieve the 24.
Definitely some people were. There were a few issues with ratios sometimes in more recent times, and I'll get to ratios as well. But typically it was thought that it would be 24-hour care. So let's talk about food. So under STA, it was just assumed the STA provider had to pay for your food. This is no longer the case. Food can't be included in the daily rate if you stay in short-term respite in an individual setting, for example, a hotel. Some providers of STR who run centre or group STR residents might include food in their daily rate, and that is the only time it is okay to include food.
When we were doing support coordination, this was unclear. Like, this assumed was bad.
Yeah.
It was a bad idea with many changes that the NDIS sees. There is a nugget of a good idea in there. The clarification is a good idea. The restriction of funding and the ability to access the support or the food that you need is problematic. But the clarification of what is in and out, allowed and not, is good.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Okay, so let's talk about activities. So under the old system of STA, the daily rate would include all activities. This is no more. NDIS funding cannot be used to pay for activities such as tickets, entry fees, equipment, or membership fees. However, if the group or centre-based accommodation you are in for your STR has an activity at that location, then this might be part of the daily rate. So in the operational guideline, they give the example of a pottery teacher coming into the centre to give a pottery class, and the centre might pay for that activity, and that is okay because you aren't going out to have fun.
Well, yeah, the two things that are clear to me from this are continuing to want to differentiate respite from a holiday, and that they really want people at the group or centre-based care. That is cheaper. It is the model that they want to go back to in a number of areas, and this is a really specific one.
Exactly. Okay, so let's talk about ratio. The ratio is no longer assumed to be 1-to-1. The planner who does your plan will decide if you need 1-to-1, 1-to-2, 1-to-3, and generally that will be based on what you are funded for normally. So if in your normal life, whatever you are funded for, then that's generally what you will be funded for in STR. Now, this has a lot of caveats to it based on things like if you are a child and you have 3 siblings, for example, well, then your parents give you 1-to-4. So the NDIA assume you only need 1-to-4, which is completely bonkers because we all know that the child or children with disabilities take up far more of parents' time than the children without disabilities. So why they think this is a model for the ratio is completely fucking bonkers to me and annoys me. So what you need to do is when you're requesting STR, make sure your functional capacity assessment clearly states the ratio they think that you should be funded at. The next bit is transport. You cannot use STR funding to pay for transport to get to your respite accommodation if you usually use public transport or taxis independently. The transport rule has totally blown my mind, Ellie, because you can have respite, sure, but I don't know how you're going to get there.
Get there yourself. It's very prohibitive, isn't it?
It's so freaking bizarre. So transport cannot be charged under the STR line item. The operational guideline goes on to explain what the NDIS needs to know when deciding if you should have STR funded in your plan, some of which I've sort of explained through this, but I didn't want to spell it all out here because I was concerned that this would go on kind of forever. And equally, it says when they won't fund STR. Basically, they won't fund STR if you live in SIL, if you live by yourself, if you have no informal carers, things like that. Okay, the next bit of this I really want to touch on because we often touch on the bit that people hate about whatever, or pushback, or things that people have hated about whatever new thing the NDIS have come up with. And this is to do with the word respite. So this is an older word that we used to use under block funding, and people with disabilities have said that they really hate this change back to respite because it also makes it sound like they are a burden to their informal supports. Now, the idea with respite is that your informal carers need respite from their caring responsibilities, thus potentially a burden, okay? Whereas when they purposely changed it, when the NDIS rolled out to be short-term accommodation, the emphasis was on the person with the disability needing the respite. So this is a big word change and emphasis change, as well as all the rules, and it really has upset a lot of people. So I really wanted to point that out to everyone. Also, the all new rules and name will mean that a lot of providers need to quickly update their websites. And I know I've said to you a couple of times, how long are we going to give people on this? Because I'm still seeing all over Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram about STA. So I'm like, but STA no longer exists. So how can you advertise that? Interesting. So how about you let us know your thoughts?
And get onto your web developer.
Yes. This episode was made possible with thanks to the support of Plan Decoders. Plan Decoders are NDIS experts. We are here to help participants, carers and families understand the NDIS and get the most out of their NDIS plan. Make an appointment for a Plan Decoders session if you want to understand your NDIS plan, understand your funding, find out more about what services and supports are available to NDIS participants, understand the NDIS in general, prepare for a plan review, or get any questions you have about the NDIS answered. If you or someone you know could use some support from Plan Decoders, contact me, Hannah, by heading to plandecoders.com.au. So, Ellie, there are more operational guideline updates because we haven't had enough fun yet. There was an update to the operational guideline for therapy supports. Most of it is clarifying what can and can't be used as therapy. All allied health therapies will now be stated. They will say how many hours you can spend on what allied health professional. Now,
that's going to make you happy.
This, of course, is reducing choice and control. They do say that if the planner has not stated it, it is still flexible, but most plans now will state exactly OT this many hours for OT, speech this many hours for speech, physio this many hours for physio.
What are the odds that they're going to have spare funding that's not allocated?
I suggest zilch.
Yeah, so flexible how?
Yeah. No. The guideline also now says that all allied health professionals now need to develop a therapy plan or program for you. They need to explain the program and give you a copy that you can refer back to. I don't like this because often therapy needs to remain flexible. Yes, often you do have a goal and an idea of how you might get there, but until you actually start working with someone, how the fuck are you expected to know how long it might take them to achieve something and exactly what they want to work on?
I mean, you and I don't always agree.
So,
could you explain why, other than not knowing at the beginning how long it's going to take, when does this have to be written?
So my understanding and reading of the operational guidelines was that it has to be done before your first session. So at your first session, you're explaining to the person the program.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's nonsense. Again, in principle, I don't dislike this idea. Much like you would write, if, for example, you're a support coordinator and you go out to a participant, you want to get an idea of some goals that you are working with that participant at that first meeting to get an idea of whether you're a good fit.
Absolutely.
This is formalizing that maybe a bit early.
Yeah.
But even the goals that are in the plan, you don't have to rigidly stick to all of the support that you're doing meeting that goal. It's just when you report on it, you need to say how you have worked towards that goal.
Yeah.
So there's still some wiggle room in there. I'm not entirely sold on it being a bad idea to have something formal in place.
Look, I think it's really important that we disagree and voice that because I think listeners will disagree with me sometimes. And this is also partly why I really like the idea of your input, particularly on this episode, because we do have different ideas about how the NDIS could be run, should be run. And I think it's really important that people hear lots of different arguments.
Yeah, I think that clarity is generally a good idea. Grey area is okay, but I think historically maybe, in my opinion, there's been a little too much grey and clarity is not always a bad thing.
Well, yeah, sure, absolutely. So in addition, the operational guidelines give dot points about exactly what they want to see in progress reports, which is something you were alluding to before. This is actually a great guide also for core support providers too, because it says a lot of what they should be touching on in their progress reports. Remember, everybody, that if you are paid by funding out of someone's NDIS plan, you must give a progress report and say things about what you are doing with that money. So let me touch on the points that they have requested for allied health providers, because I think this is helpful for everyone. Okay, ready? They want a summary of the supports you're providing, which makes sense. How the therapy has supported the disability in the past, how it has helped pursue the participant's goals, how the support has helped the participant increase or maintain their independence, any measurable functional gains they've made since receiving the therapy supports. If relevant, give details on how the therapy supports are being coordinated with other therapists. And this is a really good one. I really like this one. Promoting coordination with other therapists, how the participant has been linked to additional informal community or mainstream supports. This is, I think, a really big one for core providers. So make sure you include that bit. And any barriers to using supports or getting them provided and how those barriers might have been resolved, any risks to the participant or others, and best practice recommendations for ongoing therapy, if relevant.
Something that we've been talking about off air recently is a really good start to this process might be having a care plan. And everybody should really have a care plan, no matter what service you're providing.
Yeah,
it'll make it much easier to be doing these progress reports if you can refer back to the care plan that you're supposed to have.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Ellie, a fun one for all the support coordinators and participants who are looking at home and living applications. There's been a change to home and living applications.
Could it possibly be a good one? This is a really tricky area.
Right. It is super hard. So let me explain it and then you can decide if it's a good thing or a bad thing. The NDIS helpfully announced on their Facebook page first that they were removing the home and living supporting evidence form. Apparently, this will make it easier to make a home and living request, except that this form made it really clear what you are requesting. Now, all you have to do is fill in the change of detail or situation form, of course, along with all of your evidence.
Where is this supposed to go?
You then send it in an email to the inquiries email.
Right. So, okay.
To me, this reduces clarity because when you had the home and living supporting evidence form, it made it very clear this is exactly what I'm requesting. Now you just have to use the everything form.
Yeah, that's my concern. And you're sending it to the everything email.
Yes.
Yeah. What an inefficient way of running that system. Inefficiency is the other thing that bothers me.
The NDIS do something inefficient? Say it ain't so.
Do they have somebody sitting there farming these emails out to the appropriate people?
Apparently. And that is something they tell us they do.
Instead of just having an appropriate email for each department.
So once upon a time, let me take you in the Wayback Machine. When I was starting out as a support coordinator in 2018, there were lots of different email addresses for different things. And apparently everyone found this too complicated.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. Line items are very difficult for people.
Right. So then they decided that you just have the inquiries email address and you just send everything to that.
And good luck.
Because then the inquiries email address notoriously lose all of your documents constantly.
Well, how could they not? Or send them to the wrong place and the person gets and goes, that's not for me, and just that's it.
Right. And this is something that also annoys me about LACs, because I know whenever I've spoken, and look, it hasn't been very often, to LACs for our children, for example, they've said, oh no, you don't get the email address of the LAC who is supposed to replace your support coordinator, you send an email to inquiries, and then inquiries apparently sends it on to your support coordinator. Now, the reason...
LAC.
Yeah, sends it on to the LAC. Now, the reason that I was told for this was because they can't keep LACs in a job for very long. And the problem was people kept sending an email to the LAC and the LAC had gone.
But aren't there email addresses that are like Southwest?
There used to be.
Yeah, all right.
Yep. Way back, you could send an email to like an LAC office, like Logan LAC office, for example. Yeah, no. Not that they let participants in on.
So this is anyway, we've been over this a million times. This is very old news. This is meant to be ongoing, your first and only point of contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So that is the big change to the home and living application. There is no longer a separate form. Just use the everything form and send it to the everything email address.
And good luck.
Yes. The next item is the SDA Design Standards Review. So this is about the SDA building design.
Which is something Justin McDonald is very interested in.
Yes.
Go back and listen to that episode. It's a great one.
Yes, absolutely. So KPMG Australia will be reviewing the new Build SDA design standards. They are specifically looking at if the SDA design standards align with the building industry standards, and whether they provide quality and safe SDA homes for NDIS participants. They specifically want to talk to participants, families, builders, developers, and anyone else who wants to share their feedback. They need you to register your interest to give feedback. You can't just give it to them. You have to register first. So make sure you do that. And the link will be in our show notes. I think to a point, this is really good. My biggest problem is that it's yet again another fucking review. But definitely I think it's really important that that SDA homes are actually quality and are safe.
And meet the codes and legislation. Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, so cool. There has been confirmation that needs assessors will not need any qualifications. Recently, we saw Senator Jordan Steele John grilling NDIA Deputy CEO Aaron Verlin at a Senate Estimates Committee and learnt that the people who will perform the needs assessments will not require any qualifications other than really being able to communicate with participants and being like nice. I don't know. Mr. Verlin explained that the NDIS will be hiring approximately 80 allied health professionals to train and then accredit these needs assessors. That's not many people, by the way, but I digress.
Yeah, not many people training them. And yeah, that's, as we've spoken about on this podcast before, that's really concerning. This is another area where I think the idea is a nugget of a good idea and the implementation is just batshit. Like, able to talk to participants. So they're going to pull people from the call center?
Well, of course, that is the concern. People who don't understand disability, they don't have to have had anything to do with disability. They just need to be able to talk to people with disability.
Like, for clarity, I think we can certainly both agree that participants' funding should not be spent on these reports.
Right.
And ongoing, over and over again. Anytime there's going to be a plan review, the money is taken from your plan to do that.
Yeah.
That is nonsensical.
Yeah.
couldn't they just have allocated a OT report in the funding for each participant?
Well, that would make sense, and nothing the NDIS do ever makes sense. So I don't know why you expect this to.
Yeah, but as you said in a recent news episode, these are now going to be strangers who are talking to you for a really long period of time.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've gone over that. Go back and listen to the last news episode for more.
Exactly. And we watched the videos of Jordan Still John grilling this guy, the deputy CEO, and it was almost comical the way he was talking.
Yeah, or bureaucracy.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. Now, I am trying to get my head around the numbers because there's over 700,000 people now on the NDIS, but we're going to hire 80 allied health professionals.
It's a pyramid scheme. It's going to be a pyramid scheme. The 80 will train 800 and those 800 will train 8,000.
Yeah. I love that so much. Cool. All right. In the next item on our agenda is the Social Security and Other Legislation Amendment Bill 2025.
That's the name of the bill, by the way, other legislation.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Now, this is important to understand because it will likely affect many people with disabilities who receive disability support pension. The Anti-Poverty Centre explained the amendment enables police to advise the Home Affairs Minister to stop a person's Centrelink payment if there is a warrant for their arrest in relation to a serious crime. It affects people receiving any income support payment, including parenting payment, paid parental leave, and family tax benefit, meaning it can deprive people and children who are not accused of any crime of the money they need to live. According to a joint statement released on the 3rd of November 2025 by ACOS and EJA, our major concern with this amendment is that it will allow a government to cancel someone's payment based on advice from a senior person in the police without a conviction. This could see innocent people have their social security payments cancelled. Police should not have any involvement in determining someone's social security entitlements. And it is particularly concerning that this amendment would allow this overreach to occur even in the absence of proper judicial process. End of quote. It is important to understand that these people have not yet been convicted. It is just a warrant out for their arrest. That's it.
And we know that people with disabilities, people with mental health are overrepresented in the criminal justice system or overrepresented in their contact with police. It's dismal.
It's very, very scary in my opinion. And this is why I wanted to put it in this news episode. And like Ellie pointed out, seriously, the name of the bill is Social Security and Other Legislation Amendment Bill. Like, what do they mean?
Yeah, it reminds me of something in The Simpsons. Yeah.
And the fact that this is what it does to people is such a concern to me, that children may not have food, access to medicine, doctors, clothes, all of these things.
And we also know that system is very slow. And if you were to prove yourself innocent, which you shouldn't have to do, we are not in France, we have a criminal justice system that works the other way around, it's not instantaneous that you get the money back. This is definitely going to affect participants.
Exactly. And that's why we thought it important to include. Our last item today is about the Proda to RAM changeover. So a quick reminder about the change from Proda to RAM. Even though the My ID says that you need a strong level of identity, you don't. The only way to get a strong level is to have a passport, and not everyone does. All you have to do, and I say this in a little bit of sarcasm, is call them up, and a call center will help you out. Now, I have gone through this process myself. I don't have a passport. Actually, it was really simple to call them, but yes, it requires a phone call, which is freaking daft, but that's what you need to do. But I have seen people on Facebook complaining and concerned that they need a passport. And I just want to remind you all, you don't. Relax. Like, yes, this is annoying. Don't get me wrong. But in order to get your My ID, please just call them up.
Yeah, it's just a barrier. I've got to do it. It's sitting on my to-do list. We've changed bookkeeping software, so I need to do it all over again. I don't have a passport. Relationship Access Manager, which is what RAM stands for, is a pain in the ass. You have to call them. It's just a barrier. Don't let it get in your way.
Exactly. Thank you, Ellie, so much for your help on this episode. You've been awesome.
I look forward to Sam joining you again next time. It's been fun.
Fair enough. So make sure in your podcast app of choice, you are following or subscribing to us, depending on what the little button says. And make sure you give us a 5-star review. That would be awesome. And that's how other people might be able to find us.
And follow the podcast on socials.
Yes. So individually, Sam and I are on LinkedIn. We don't have a podcast LinkedIn. We don't, whatever, I don't know. We have a Facebook page though. We also are on Instagram. Instagram is actually the best place to follow the podcast. So there's that. Until next time, bye.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Provider Advisory Service. What if your next audit wasn't just about compliance, but about people? Introducing the Provider Optimization Pathway, a 2-meeting diagnostic that transforms how NDIS, aged care, and health providers lead, engage, and grow. POP dives deep into leadership, workforce, and consumer experience, revealing what's working, what's missing, and what's possible. It's not just a report, it's a roadmap to build a resilient, people-first organisation where your team thrives and your clients feel the difference. Go to provideradvisory.au, no .com, just provideradvisory.au for more information. Thank you for listening. Please share with people you know. Until next time, as the Green Brothers say, don't forget to be awesome.